So, we want to present the advancements in REST over the years and how I like the term that Michael used, that this game changer future improve the iDempiere environment to go beyond ERP. I like part of the presentation of Murilo because he mentioned that iDempiere is a powerful framework for development. It doesn't need to be restricted to ERP functionalities, because when you use iDempiere as the backbone to developments, you have so many things already covered that you can just focus on the exact functionality that you want to address. So that's the goal of this presentation, and we will do it together with Carlos. So
Thank you. So the idea first is to the same exercise that I did for the core. I did it for REST as an analysis what happened since the last conference in REST. Yeah. So I made basically the same statistics, and I went to we don't have a Jira for this. We manage everything in GitHub. And in GitHub, since Manama happened in 2023, we have 93 issues that were created. And you see this is just a plugin. This is just a plugin, but it had almost 100 tickets, and 79 of those were closed. And we have 29 open issues. Some of those issues are ideas, mostly from Norbert. And yeah, but Norbert has contributed a lot in the advancements of REST. Contributed with Igor and Peter, and also sponsored a lot of new things. And in GitHub, in these 819 days, we have 113 commits solving around 77 tickets. 9 contributors, 5 of them are new. In the same Pareto that we had in the core, we have 33% of commits made by of committers made 90% of commits. And the 90% is these 3 guys there. I just know all of them. And but the interesting thing here is, I think, is that 9 contributors made commits and 5 are new. Yeah, it's a bit understandable that we are the most committers because Hensing created the tool. And Diego and I are maintaining the tool, so it's understandable. And of course, more contributors are welcome. Okay, some history about the REST interface. Hensing did a first commit in September 10. 2019. I have never talked with Hensing really how this was born, if he was just doing a proof of concept but he did something very good, based on the dictionary, yeah? So you just have a table and you can consume that. And when we went to Lyon in the same 19 in November, so 2 months after Hensing did that, we went to Lyon and there were 4 different approaches. There were 4 plugins or 4 different persons working on REST interfaces. So it was very evident that that was a common need and many people were working in the same thing. Yeah? And one very good outcome of the workshop that we did in Lyon was that we took some time to analyze the 4 plugins, the 4 approaches, And with the attendance in the workshop, we said, we prefer this one, and we will share efforts to improve this one. Yeah, and that I think is a critical point for this, because means the community united efforts to advance one of the solutions. Yeah, the main thing about that Hensing's approach had over the others is that it was dictionary based. The other plugins needed to write code for every table or to define some templates, etc. So what we like it more, all of us there, is just it works. You don't need to configure anything. It's just plug and consume. It was like that. And then in 22, Hensing said, I don't want to be the maintainer of that, and said, who wants? And Diego and I said in BX, with Thomas said, we can be the maintainers of that, so it's okay. And we have tried to improve it. And I think another important thing is that Norbert started using it heavily, and because it's heavy usage, he had big needs, and started also contributing a lot with Peter and Igor. Yeah? Igor or Igor? Igor, okay. Peter and Igor. And Murillo also contributed a lot. He was involved in that. Suri also, and many others. And many others have ideas and improve this. Another thing that we decided in the middle of that was we are not all data compliant. It's not compliant. What we say, we want to try to follow closely that standard, yeah? Because OData is a powerful standard, and we don't want to reinvent that. So every time we have a need, normally Norbert, for example, has the need of some endpoint, and Norbert goes to OData. In OData this is named expand. So we try to follow that. It's not 100% compliant, but we follow the standard. And okay, in the last years, this has been very big improvements. There are a lot to talk there, but I will be fast. If you want me to expand on any of this, just ask. But we have single sign-on. I think Hansen did that, yeah? Single sign-on, and is compatible 100% with what Deepak did. So when you configure the single sign-on in iDempiere, it works also for REST. It can be the same. You don't need to. We had the need to export charts, and we did charts at first, but they were very ugly. So then we changed it to export the data to paint the charts. Yes. Yeah? And we are using that because it's very nice. You export the data, and then you pass the data to Billboard or GA-chart or whatever, and the chart is beautiful. Yeah? So the charts endpoint that we added can export a chart, but a bit ugly, or it can export the data for another library to paint the chart. Yeah? That's the uses that we are doing. Menu tree support, that was your idea, your need to support exporting menu trees.
No, you start with menu tree, and we continue with the generic tree.
Generic tree, yeah. Yeah, and recently there was a need, last week I think, the generic tree was being exported, but it didn't follow the node ID, so we fixed that, and now it's smooth. Norbert mentioned it this morning that the REST view schemas, Hensing added that recently. So you have the dictionary, table, column, but then on top of that, you can define a REST view with different names and just restrict to the columns that you want to. And it's very important, I think, Norbert mentioned it in the last conference, that sometimes front-end developers don't like our standard of naming, for example, AD client ID, or, yeah? But, but now with REST view, you can say the field is client, and just use that, yeah? Or whatever. And instead of CB partner, you can say business partner. Like, yeah? Role access control that was added also by Hensing. It's, we have, in our projects, we have made the security of the application with Kraken, but any API gateway can do it. But this role access control also added a security layer in the iDempiere layer, in the iDempiere side. So you can configure which role can use which endpoint. That's how it works. And it was with a regular expression. So you say, this role can consume endpoints that has this regular expression. Matches this regular. Simplified authentication is another need that many, I think maybe most of implementations of iDempiere are single tenant and single organization. Yeah. So what Hensing added too is that if you give your user and password, and you have a single tenant, single organization, it doesn't need to ask anymore. It's just you are logged in. Yeah. No need to ask role, organization, tenant, if you just have one. Doesn't make sense. Hensing also added support for Open API. That was previously called Swagger, and now it's Open API, and it's working now. It's very nice to have that. API tokens, that was Murillo. Murillo added that, the tokens, and it's it's server tokens or user tokens, and we can authenticate now without giving a password, user login, but with a token. It's very helpful, and we use that also. The same REST view that is there can do automatically expand. Is in the REST view definition, you can say automatically expand business partner and user. So when you consume business partner, it gets also whatever you configure it. Also, Hensing added this you can extend endpoints. So we have the REST endpoints. I think we have model, charts, workflows, etc. But you can inject your own endpoints, and you already did that, yeah? You had the one that CDN.
Yes.
So it's just to write a class and say this class attend this endpoint, and you write the code. It's simple, but you can inject them now. And we have that was not there, logout. It's kind of closely related to refresh. So Murillo did the API token. I know, but it's not related. Is that when we log in, when a user log in, we provide a token that has a short expiration time. That's not invented by us. It's the common in the industry. Yeah, you give a token that expires in 1 hour or 15 minutes, depending on the application. And when the token expires, there is a refresh endpoint that gets a new token. And the refresh token also has a expiration, but it's usually longer. You define 1 day, 1 week, whatever. Yeah, that's how authentication works for most cases. And after I did that, after I developed that, I noticed that it was not secure and I started reading how to do it correctly. So I then made security against replay attacks, is named the technique. So it's now safer. What else? Labels and label-based data. I think Norbert this morning showed labels, and they added also the endpoint to get labels. I think we don't have pending tickets there.
You forgot it.
It's already contributed.
We have one.
But yours is it's not in okay. It's not in our queue. It's in your no.
Then, okay, I haven't time to check.
I told yesterday that in the release 11 version we support UUID tables, so now also REST support completely those special tables. JSON data also same as we changed code to support JSON data type, we need to change REST to support that also. And I think also we changed that. You asked it for me. When the system identifies this is JSON, before it was put in a JSON file in base 64 format, but now it recognizes and just put the JSON there. Diego has been contributing a lot of unit tests. I think he mentioned it yesterday that 90% are done with Copilot. Yeah. So Diego has added a lot of unit tests. Hensing worked with Diego to make it work with Maven, so we can automate that in Jenkins too. Also the get we added the in operator. So before it was equal 1 or equal 2 or equal 3. Now it's easier. In 1, 2, 3.
Because we have 500 categories and was not enough still.
Yes. Yeah, that's all. Diego is going now to show something nice that we did.
Well, thank you. So as I mentioned before, this opens a whole new world. I think we are all familiar with the dictionary in iDempiere, and that's really powerful. Like the fact that you can just create tables and use right away is really powerful. So I will show a real life example of what I mean, that with the REST API now you can use iDempiere as a development framework with really low code. So a bit of context. Some of you already know, some are about to find out that I play basketball in a club in Germany, and we in the club there are like 12 teams, I think, 4 senior teams, and the rest are like under 18. So there was a common need that on the weekends when the kids are playing, all the parents are spamming WhatsApp like, what's the score, how much is left, what's the score, can you tell me how it's going? So it became like, okay, we need a way to keep the parents and team members and everyone in the club like updated on the current score of all the team. So we came out with the idea of a live ticker. So basically, this is mostly used on mobile. So basically, you see here which games are happening right now, what's live. You can see the score. yeah, you can see the score, you can see the date. This one is coming up. These ones were like finished already. It looks better like this one. Looks much better like this because usually parents use it from the mobiles. And the same parents go in and say, okay, now it's not 36:10, but now it's 45:08, and there are 8 minutes left on the third quarter. So they save, and everyone else on their phones get the updated score, and they can check live how it's my son's team going, how is every team in the club going. Afterwards, we decided to add here how many people are actively watching the live ticker, and how many people were actively watching the scores at the last 72 hours. When you think about developing this from zero, it can take some time because there are a lot of functional and non-functional requirements. But within iDempiere it was really fast because we just went to the dictionary, we created 2 tables, one for teams, one for games, that's it. Some columns like home team, away team, score, quarter, very basic what you see here. And that's it. Then we built a really small React code that reads these endpoints and show the information. And it was done quite fast. I think in 1 or 2 days we had the first version going, then we started tuning because we got feedback, we can improve this, we can improve that. But it was really fast to develop this. I think that's the power of iDempiere. I think you can do it faster, but we obviously protected that with gateway, we Kraken, we don't want.
I wanted to mention that backend work was maybe 2 hours, yeah, because it's 2 tables.
But the work in the backend was
Yes.
5 minutes. Most of the work was the code that we needed to. It was just, and now I think most of you have seen that now creating Windows is very easy because you can, like iDempiere assists you creating the table, and then you just click one button and it creates the window and the menu, so it's really fast. It was really fast doing everything behind. And you have
zero code in backend.
yeah, no code in backend. We didn't write any custom code, and you have everything because you also can have statistics like how did the game go, because when the parents are changing the scores, you're getting the change log in the table. So you can then create nice reports saying that this was the graphic of the game. It was really, really amazing how easily we solved a need that didn't have anything to do with the ERP. And I heard that from Murilo already, and I tend to do the same when someone comes to me with an IT need, I need an app for something. I always think, how can I model this with iDempiere? And just like Norbert said, you have a presentation layer that consumes the REST endpoints. And yeah, and that's it. I think we just wanted to show a real life example that we don't use anything related to ERP here. It's just amazing how flexible iDempiere got with the REST API. We can do everything.
You got the front end. How did you write the front end here? I mean, this one here.
This is React.
React.
Yeah. Are there any more questions? Can you give the microphone to Crispin?
So when you created a new instance of iDempiere, you made it?
No, we actually have this one in, this is a demo server, but we have multiple tenants. We just create a new tenant for the live ticker.
Okay, and so all the other tables are just redundant?
Yeah, but we have like customers there, so we just we use the whole ERP, but for this particular case, we have one tenant that just needs these two tenants. Yeah. Marco.
Yes. Yesterday I showed the maintenance task and you saw that we have a Flutter app. Also Murillo is public, the code, but is custom on our iDempiere, so it's not fully standard. It's some field missing. And our goals is, you said it takes 5 minutes on iDempiere, and you know the form on view and should be on edit and on also other feature. We are thinking about how to automate. You have a table, then you have the template, and you say, okay, create the form, create edit, and then you just go focus on the flash green circle. So that's it's a custom, but the rest is standard. So maybe you can divide the date, like this is beautiful for but just automate. So it should take 5 minutes on backend side and almost 5 minutes back, something more. But
that sounds great. Like a code generator for the front end.
We are going to create the new version because we used a lot of Flutter plugin that are now more maintenance, so we are going to delete and use a standard way of Flutter, but should be a standard way to do this because it's very powerful.
Diego, this is that uses an API token, right? A fixed token.
Yes.
It doesn't refresh the token, right?
Yeah, there is no
It's,
authentication.
okay.
There is no login there. It's just
Yeah, it's just a public. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
because every father can come. We don't want the fathers to authenticate.
Login.
Everyone can use that. It's public.
That's very good. Thanks.
In my experience, so what would be great and the good direction is to build a library, something. Many systems, like headless systems, what they have a like application dictionary. They can create an object, they can create fields and so. And what they give you is the client library. Either you are Flutter developer or React or Angular. Just create a new project. You have a, let's say, environment Docker. You have your favorites, famous programming language, and maybe we support basic tree like Angular and so. And he just download it. You have a CLI and says, okay, generate module, and every like suite operator can be covered inside. So it's very simple to send information, 2 lines of code. That is, I think, the milestone that you can be effective. But it's big discussions with Igor. I think he's a really lot of experience with Angular and this topic. And to write, because immediately if you're going into the arena, if you want to systemize a window, then that is problem because UI mostly case by case, I think. So not easy to use the pattern, same pattern. Maybe in mobile, like a mobile application where you always confirm, but same time you need a wizard and so. So I think the best help and improvement for developers and how we can hire cheap developers for that is to provide a library for that. Front-end library.
All the people that develop in Flutter knows that Flutter allow us to create components and later pack these components and put it and join it in an app. Right now in this this philosophy that I talk about content. We have 3 apps right now in Flutter Alt, and all the components were developed as separated to united in a package. For example, I have a component that makes logging and show roles completely integrated, and that is the logging item, for example. And I'm going to publish that package, for example. And then I have a package also to list a table, any table. And also this list allows us to search, allow us to endlessly scroll and select one and go to another view, obviously. So that's another component. So you can Flutter specifically, I don't know React or other. Yeah, they have the ability with their libraries to pack this and put it as a component that maybe we can have predefined to other people that are going to develop it. So I take the logging of iDempiere, I take the scroll and I configure that this component is going to be with order, and I'm going to do these containers with the information that I have to provide with these things. So 3 things that are previously developed and completely integrated with the iDempiere. So that you can do, that we are doing it with Flutter.
Just to add something, just to add something, we have a need to mobile warehouse, so we done that job in Flutter, and it's public. You can log in, roll, apply, shipment, receive, confirm, movement, so all that. I think what we can pack it in some way and share it in the group.
That will be great. Yeah.
Seed of the library.
But also, maybe we are using Angular, and our tendency is to write monorepo and convert our experience to libraries. So we have it's a complex topic. Maybe go on to talk about it. No, he don't want to. Okay, but if you if you create, for example, user profile, and we had user profile in e-commerce, as show you, but we want to start our web documentation and request for support. We need again user profile. So what we can do is take this functionality, consider what is about, and okay, what we can do. The knowledge base going to the collaboration. The requests, because user go and e-commerce as support system for simple complaining about the deliveries, but also we can use it in our support system, which is much more complex and automated. Then we just move it again to the collaboration. And if you have in a collaboration, maybe it's much more complex than your use case, then you can use it, and if it's working, then you can create a new interface for that. And where we are writing applications, it's a new folder which name is app, and you have app project 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you are using in the same monorepo the libraries into. And then you are deploy the NX now when which part must be deployed or processed again, and he created a final code. But it was very simple, stupid, very explained. You want to explain more?
Yeah, so we are using NX where we can build application and we can create libraries. So the application will import each library and use what is needed for each application. So we can create quite separated functionalities.
It's not technical. It's just, as you said, and we are already using iDempiere as a development framework. Is in the roadmap to place it in the website or in somewhere? Because if it's separated, at least an idea, it would be easier for us to engage interns that we are already doing, and they undermines, they know they're not working on an ERP that might be frightening for them a little. I mean, like separate conceptly in the website, for example. Is that a plan?
That's very interesting that you mention it, because in the marketing meetings we have discussed that, and we are like discussing that idea with the community, because some people doesn't want to disengage the ERP part from iDempiere. They want the brand to be iDempiere ERP. So we want to find a better way to do that. If we do iDempiere framework, or how do we do it? But we definitely want to push that, because we see a lot of potential there, like a huge market there.
Deepak Fred.
Deepak.
We can call it ERP.
Are there any more questions? Thank you.